Okay. Thank you, Reverend Frank Kotowski, for joining us today. Could you tell us a little bit about your job for the NSAC in the sense of the Department of Phenomenal Evidence?
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me both to the Church of Peace, the Spiritual Center, and your Cyclical Research Science Society. It's an honor, and I'm excited that you have invited me because I think it's great work that you'll be doing, that you have done and will be doing. So just a quick background of who I am. I became an NSAC church member in 2004. I became ordained in February of 2021. In 2014, I was assigned or became the head of the Department of Phenomenal Evidence. And I don't know exactly how that happened. Most often the NSAC board, the president especially, appoints people in different committees and or departments if there's a vacancy. So there must have been a vacancy at that time, and I was asked to come on to head the Department of Phenomenal Evidence. I know there were forms to fill out if you had interest in different departments and committees, so I must have filled one out saying I wanted to get involved things having to do with science. In terms of my own work life before getting more involved with the church, I worked for McGraw-Hill, and our department published a 20-volume encyclopedia of science and technology, which then became an online platform only, which was called Access Science. So I have a degree in English, but I've loved science all along, and I wanted to see where that can take me and take our organization with one of the legs of our religion, science. So that's what I've been doing ever since 2014. And then 2015, I was assigned or asked to head the Science Research Committee. So go ahead.
I was going to ask, some of our members, some of the people that come to our meetings are not familiar with the NSAC in the sense of why we would want to study any of this. Could you explain a little bit more about the science part of the NSAC for them?
Sure. So it is some sort of basic information about spiritualism is there are three parts to it. There's the science, there's the philosophy, and there's the religion. So if you know anything about the history of, I'd say, the heyday of spiritualism in America, a number of very well-known and incredible scientists studied mediumship, studied phenomena, one among them William Crookes, of course. And we're not seeing that these days. I mean, we're seeing institutions, some academia studying phenomena and mediumship, but there aren't, for the most part, specific scientists alone studying these phenomena. They're working with a larger group. What's changed in my viewpoint is I think science in general has become so materialistic that when I or others reach out to these institutions or groups and say, hey, we're a religious organization, we're a spiritual organization, can you work with me? You don't get much help because they feel, I think they feel we have a bias. It's coming from a religious, spiritual background, that we're not going to be as rigorous, I'd say, as scientists who aren't religious or would be secular. So I'd like to see a resurgence in science and the paranormal. And I think that was the impetus for creating the department for the NSAC. I've been asking around in the NSAC itself, how this department got started, and so far no one's told me. They don't have a recollection of who it was or what group started it, but it started before my time, as I say, and I'm trying to make it as best as I can now.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm just so happy it's there. I'm so happy you have wanted to take the helm of it. I know a lot of times people want to know, what is a protocol for studying anything to deal with the supernatural, the phenomenon, the paranormal? Does your department have any protocols or any structure in the sense of how they go about investigating or looking into phenomenal evidence?
Okay, so what we do, and hope this is helpful, the NSAC website itself, it's not www, it's https nsac.org. They have a link to the Department of Phenomenal Evidence. And when you go to that link, I think it's from there you can find the report form that I use. It's called Phenomenal Evidence Report. You can go there, or I had a website created just for the department, and that is www.phenomenalevidence.org. So go to either website, you can find that form. So what that form asks you is, have you experienced some phenomenal, have you been involved in some phenomenal event? Dealing with either mental mediumship, trance, physical mediumship, or other things, perhaps even levitation. Have you been witness to some of this paranormal, to a paranormal event? Please fill out this form. And the form is really for first-person witnesses. That's what the department is looking for. So on the form, it'll ask you things you would, commonly ask someone. When did it happen? What was the time? Who was present? Describe the event. And if you have any documentary things like pictures of orbs or videos or whatever. So I've asked both NSAC members and outside of NSAC, if you've experienced such an event, please send it to me. The one thing though, I have a number of these reports and I still need to really find out what to do with them. I haven't shown them in a meeting or a presentation. So I need more clarity, more focus on what to do with these reports, but I am gathering these reports. With COVID, it's really dropped off. I've received no reports for the last 3 years, I would say. So that's why I'm so happy to hook up with your group.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd love to work together. That was the whole point of trying to find where there's gaps and to try to fill who's doing what, so we can know how to go about getting these phenomenal, not only researched but verified, and just kind of bring it out. So you mentioned there hasn't been many researchers or scientists recently studying phenomena, but what kind of phenomena has been coming in as far as documentation to your office or submitted to your department?
You're talking about the forms that come to me?
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that your department has found, that is?
Yeah, but we've gotten in terms of getting the information from reports, we've gotten reports and documentation, by the way, of photographs. I get a lot of images of orbs, and orbs seem pretty common. I get them from a lot of people, and they are interesting. There's some, you have to be rigorous when you get images of orbs, because to try to verify whether they're truly something of a spiritual nature or not. I have 2 others on my team. One is Suzanne Garrison Terry, who's a member of our church. The other person is Lisa Butler, and I'm privileged to have her. because she and her husband, Tom, were once the directors of the department, and they are still the directors of Association Trans Communication, which is the website and place to go to learn about trans communication. So when there's something that comes into our department, I asked the two others, what do you think about this? How verifiable is this? So I've gotten pictures of orbs. Early on, I got some video footage from Janet Tisdale, and Janet Tisdale ran a seance, had a seance group in Arizona some years ago. And the footage she showed me in the video were certain things that happened during the seance. Orbs, streaks of light. I think there was some voice that was picked up. So that was pretty cool too. Some of the things that haven't come through reports, but have come outside of those specific reports. One in particular, I was able to use from Lisa and Tom Butler. And that was something that was sent to them. And it is some photographs of, it shows a young boy with a TV set in the back. That they were told the TV set was not on. But on the screen of the TV, who appears but the deceased aunt of the young boy. And they said it doesn't happen a lot for a spirit to come through a TV that's not working. So that was pretty remarkable.
Now, with COVID keeping everybody, kind of in their homes and that, we haven't seen a lot of seances or, activities such as using the trumpet or, table tipping or any of that. How can people help your department in bringing in more research, investigation, phenomena, even though we're not really meeting in person that much anymore because of the COVID? Is there any suggestions you would have in helping your department with their research, or ways we can just be a little bit more active with your department in getting the research to you?
Sure. I would say the first thing probably would be best is for people to come to the website and see what's there already. Again, it's www.phenomenalevidence.org. So they'll see different kinds of phenomena, audio, video, and so forth. And just be cognizant of when they're in a situation where something happens and they're able to take a picture of it or take an audio capture of it, audio recording, or whatever. If it feels that it's something, I could work with, please do email me and send it to me. And again, they can pick up the report from my website or the NSAC website, or I'll just send them the report. So I've asked through the NSAC news for, please, I need some more evidence, but I do want it to go broader. As you say, you're working globally. That would be great to get this kind of evidence, worldwide.
Now, some of the shows out there use a lot of tools like, your barometers and meters and all this stuff to try to track activity that's phenomenal or paranormal. Does the NSAC sanction any tools to be used in investigations? Anything like you would see on, the ghost hunting shows or anything? Is there anything that the NSAC would approve of or use in their investigation of phenomena?
I've never been told directly that they disapprove of any of this equipment. I can't see why they would disapprove of it. The technology has grown so quickly and so broad. I myself only have a digital voice recorder. Friends of mine have these you know, devices like a Frank's box and other similar devices that pick up a communication in real time. So I think we have to move with the times and use the technology to our advantage. Absolutely.
The other question I got from a member was, if we suspect there's phenomena, is there any type of phenomena that you would not want us to send in? Like, you know, I mean, is there any clarification of what shouldn't be sent in, or what you're only looking for as far as the type of evidence?
Nothing that I can think of. I mean, I would say if you're going to send me a report and the evidence to, you know, to back it up, make sure you have everyone's permission. So whoever was involved with that event, I so far I haven't got, well, actually, I was going to say I haven't gotten anything that involves a child. I did get something from a couple that had a small child, and they had their baby monitor on, and the baby monitor seemed to have picked up the voice of a spirit, someone they knew. But that child was so young, so they really couldn't ask for that child's permission. But you know, foremost, ask who's ever involved their permission. I can't think of anything that I shouldn't be sent. Again, the evidence is going to be weighed, and we'll give our honest opinion whether, you know, as to whether we think this holds up scientifically or not.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we aren't sure. We'll say that too.
Now, with the NSAC studies, I mean, the NSA and then NSAC has been around for over 100 years. And we have seen in the past studies where they, you know, look at ectoplasm, you look at, you know, spirit apparitions, you look at moving objects, you look at things forming out of thin air into somebody's hand, you know, that wasn't there before. And we really, you said you really hasn't seen anything like that. And it's probably been, I'd say, a couple decades since we've really had some research to prove it. Do you think moving forward, we'll see some changes and we'll see some more research like it was done 100 years ago? Or has things changed so much that, you know, it's not the same anymore as far as what's being shown, you know, phenomenal or parapsychology or paranormally? Like, has it changed?
Well, yes and no, I'll say. I know there is still seances going on. There's still trance seances. There's still physical medium to seances. Most of these groups, from my understanding, most of these groups do not record these seances. And if they do, they keep it private for those who attended the seance. I have to say there is some good footage. Just yesterday, for example, I watched, I'm a big YouTube watcher, and I watched it was a presentation by one of the writers that's been writing articles for the magazine, The Summit. His name is Gerald O'Hara. If you Google that on YouTube, he gave a presentation yesterday, and he showed, I guess he was given both pictures and video of seances, which showed ectoplasm, very clear ectoplasm, and he said it was evidential that it was, you know, it was written up that people present saw the ectoplasm. So it happened in the 30s, 40s, 50s. I'm sure it's still happening now. There are still physical mediums. I think it's asking people, could you share this with the greater community? I think that's what needs to happen.
Excellent. I would like to now open it up to our audience to see if they have any questions they would like to ask you, if that's okay.
Of
But
course.
I'm going to, I am going to ask them to raise their little hand on the Zoom so that we know who they are, and then we can call on them if anybody has any questions. And Desiree, I will find you that YouTube and probably send it to you if you have sent a link in there, okay? Again, if there's anybody has any questions for Reverend Frank Kotowski and the Department of Phenomenal Evidence of the NSAC, thank you, Valerie. Thank you. Please let us just raise your hands if you have any questions.
Or you can type your question in the chat if you have a question.
All righty. Okay, we got a shy audience. All right. Reverend Frank, thank you so much for everything, for coming in here and speaking with us on the department. I really would love to see a collaboration, not only with the NSAC and other groups, but just with mediums and researchers and scientists alike. The more evidence we can put out there, the more proof of life after transition. It would be awesome to show people. I want to thank you for coming today.
Thank you. And I'm going to fill out one of your membership forms right away.
Yay, thank you so much.